Hello, everybody. Today's first review is going to be of Hard Eyes, which is a movie from the producers of Scream, actually. So I was super excited to see this one. I have watched it before. I think I even reviewed it on Instagram a while ago, but it was one of the ones that actually went over the 15-minute mark on Instagram, and I didn't realize that the videos on Instagram can only be 15 minutes. So we're re-reviewing it, I guess you could say, but reviewing it for the first time on YouTube. So we'll just call it we'll just call it first review because it's been a while since I watched it. But I gave this movie a 7 out of 10. It was comical for sure, and it had a twist ending that I wasn't expecting the first time watching it for sure. Obviously, knowing it was coming at the end of this was uh, wasn't as shocking, right? But I mean, the kills in this were rather unique compared to uh, some of the other movies. Like, I guess the Scream movies have kind of become like formulaic. You kind of know what's coming, right? But in this one, I would say the kills were a little bit more unique, and some of it was a little, over the top, kind of cheesy. Like certain scenes in the movie where he's just like walking through a group of people and decides to only kill like certain ones seemed kind of strange, but I guess he was targeting a certain group, certain two people, right? So he wasn't really worried about anybody else, I guess, except for those who kind of got in his way, I guess. But so we'll go over the cast list as we always do. So Mason Gooding, who was actually part of the Scream cast, at least in the newer ones, I guess, like part of the core four in the new Scream movies, played Jay Simmons. Olivia Holt played Allie McCabe. Gigi Zimbardo played Monica. Alex Walker, who was Patrick. Lauren O'Hara played Adeline. Yeah. Ben Black, who played Colin. Jordana Brewster, who played Detective Janine Shaw. Devin Sawa, who played Detective Zeke Hobbs. So that was kind of a joke towards the Fast and Furious franchise, because obviously we know Jordana Brewster, who is Mia in the Fast and Furious franchise. Yoson Ann, who played David, and then Vinnie Bennett, who played Eli. So I believe it was Adeline and Colin were the first two. Was it? No, sorry. Colin was actually Allie's ex. Oh, and then Michaela Watkins, who played Crystal Kane, who was, I believe, was the boss, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I'm trying to think. So Monica was Allie's friend, yes. And then it must have been, oh, it was Patrick and Adeline was the couple that gets killed in the very beginning, right? Okay. And then David was one of the other killers, and then Eli was the fanboy. I guess they kind of explained that at the end of the movie. But anyhow, we'll go over, obviously, our notes. Whoops, flipped too far. Okay, so when this movie opens, a man prepares a man proposes to his girlfriend Adeline. So yeah, again, it was Adeline. When suddenly the killer shows up, taking out the cameraman. So I guess it was supposed to be like, oh, excuse me, some sort of big spectacle between the two of these people, right? Like he was trying to make the proposal like a huge, like a great big deal, and then suddenly this killer shows up and takes him out. He eventually chases down Adeline, and then the way he takes the cameraman out is like through the camera lens and like into his head. So yeah, again, these kills were unique, and being as it was from the producers of Scream, I think they kind of went for it in this film, like as far as the kills go, and just the way they did it, right? Like it was very different from the Scream character, and yeah, definitely felt like off the beaten path as far as like the formula went for this movie. So I did enjoy that. It just was a little bit cheesy in certain parts, right? Um, so Adeline gets away, but she takes an arrow, I think, like right through the ankle, basically, and then gets put into this machine, and he decides to turn it on and just absolutely like crush her. Um, so yeah, the killer does not care. Like he is just out to get any couple. Um, I guess close to like around Valentine's Day. That's when he normally goes on his killing sprees. And then leading up to Valentine's Day, yeah. So he, whoever this killer is, doesn't seem to appreciate the holiday as much as some people do. Now, a lot of people I know kind of find the holiday a little bit of a silly thing anyway, because it's one of those holidays that, like, you spend the whole year and then you just like go all out for the person you're with when you should be doing that anyway. All year round, as far as I'm concerned. It shouldn't just be like a one day thing, like, oh my god, I'm going to treat you to the most spectacular thing in the world all of a sudden because it's a holiday that we've created. Just seems kind of silly, right? At least to me, anyway. It's always kind of seemed like a little bit of a silly holiday. So I guess the Hard Eyes Killer has been going around for 2 years now, taking out couples on Valentine's Day, or I guess around Valentine's Day, because obviously not every couple is going to be killed on the same day, right? Like this is not a yeah, but I guess he strikes close to and around Valentine's Day is kind of the gist of what was getting anyway. So now he has come to Seattle, and a ring is found at the first crime scene with the initials JS inscribed on the inside. So now we kind of have like our main suspect, I guess. And I didn't even put the two and two together when Jay Simmons showed up. Like wasn't even thinking about the ring at that point, right? So the killer strikes a second time at a spa, taking out another two couples. So somehow it seems like he's almost killing in like broad daylight sometimes, but somehow still able to get away with it. Um, which would make you think that maybe potentially there was more than one, but also I guess if he's just going from random location to random location, it would be hard to track him down, right? Like even a single killer. Um, so Allie, who seems to be working for like this commercial company, and her whole campaign isn't really working with her boss or whatever. So they bring in Jay to try to make things, I guess, a little bit better, and Allie ends up having this meeting with him that kind of turns into, I guess, a little bit of a date, maybe. But he ends up walking away from the situation. So they're trying to discuss the new campaign, and then she ends up kissing him after spotting her ex, Colin. So Colin walks up to the restaurant, and I guess the couple that had been killed in the very beginning of the movie, they were friends with, and they had decided to, I guess, just go on with the reservation, like in their honor at this restaurant, the same one that Jay had booked for him and Allie, right? So it was kind of funny. And then I guess the Hard Eyes Killer kind of like locks in on them because he sees the kiss and just assumes that they're also a couple, so he decides to go after them, obviously, because they're the ones walking away from the restaurant while obviously Colin and his new girlfriend are walking in, right? So it seems that the Hard Eyes Killer was actually waiting in Allie's closet and targets her and Jay, mistaking them for a couple. So that was kind of the comical part to me, was that the entire time they were like, no, we're not together. Like, why are you coming after us? We're not actually a couple. Like, please go find somebody else to kill because you're wasting your time. We're just colleagues, sort of thing. Like, they tried to plead with the killer the entire time, but he just wasn't having any of it. So Detective Hobbs and Shaw take Jay in for questioning after finding him with a mask and weapon. So I'm assuming he had taken it off of the killer, or maybe they had somehow planted it on him. I'm not entirely sure. But he pleads that, he wasn't part of, obviously, he's not the killer. Like, he's pleading that he's not the killer. So the Hard Eyes Killer actually does end up making it into the police station after Allie shows up there and killing, I believe he ends up killing the officer at the front desk and Hobbs as well. So he takes out a couple of the people in there, and Allie shoots at the killer in a panic, but misses every shot. So she's trying to save Jay, obviously, from the killer because he somehow gets into his room as well and starts like chasing him with the knife, and Jay is trying to dodge, and then she ends up shooting through the glass, and just, I don't know how she missed every single shot without hitting him, but she somehow did. So at this point, they end up leading the killer to a drive-in theater, which is like basically an all you can eat buffet for this killer, right? Because now he's surrounded by couples who are going to be there for all the same reason, especially this close to Valentine's Day, or it could even be the day that day. I can't quite remember. But Allie and Jay hide out in a car, hoping the killer will move on, obviously. But the couple in the back is making way too much noise, and I'll let you guess what they could have potentially been doing. Um, so he does end up. He obviously the killer is able to track them down after hearing the noise from the car, right? And that kill was probably the most unique, I think, because he takes the tire iron and like jams it down through the guy and then takes the girl and just slams her head onto like the tire iron and the camera shot just like zooms out and shows her and Jay shows Allie and Jay through like the hole in the girl's head. It was just a very unique kill for sure, as far as like slasher movies go. So I think there is a second one coming out, so I am looking forward to seeing exactly what's going to take place there and like who's potentially going to take over as the Hard Eyes killer, because I'm sure somebody will, because somebody is obviously going to fan out like the same way that Eli did when they end up killing this so-called Hard Eyes killer uh, at the drive-in theater. Of course, this was after they like freaked out, right, because of the kill, and then like sends everybody into a giant panic, and he ends up going obviously on like a spree and like killing quite a few people then. And it was kind of funny. I think he did that on like the way in too, killed a couple people. So he wasn't like, even though he was targeting Allie and Jay, he really didn't care who he killed. Like this guy had like no remorse. So they are able to take out Hard Eyes, and of course everybody starts to celebrate because they think they've completed the mission, right? Like the Hard Eyes killer is dead now. Everybody can move on, sort of thing. But it almost seemed a little too easy to me. Like I was like, that seems a little too easy. Like, yeah, you'd think the killer would be a little bit smarter to not put himself in a dangerous position, right? So, eventually, Allie kind of like confesses that she had the time of her life with Jay, and then she's letting him go because now Jay is going to be on a flight, blah, 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 like he's leaving, sort of thing. So, of course, Monica says, you got to go after him. So she goes to the airport and can't find him there, but she ends up getting this mysterious call telling her to come to St. Valentine's Chapel alone if she wants to save Jay. So now we know that there was obviously more than one killer, or potentially maybe they didn't quite finish the job the way they thought they did. But so when Allie gets to St. Valentine's Chapel, David reveals himself as a killer, or as one of the killers, I guess. So David was actually like posing as the maintenance guy in the police station. So I'm assuming, I believe he was the one that did the killing in the police station, and then they explain it too, where Shaw was inside the house, and then David was outside with the crossbow, sort of thing. So yeah, I did notice actually this time around, like the knife in the house was like more like a combat knife, and then when they were being chased through like the park and such, the knife seemed like it was a machete. So I was like, okay, the knife changed, but you don't even really pick up on that the first time, like the first watch through, probably. Like you wouldn't even notice because everything's happening so quick. You don't even really have time. Your brain doesn't have time to register it, right? Like this is one of those movies where you can go through and watch it a few times and probably notice some things or pick up on some things that you may have missed on the first watch through. So where was I? So I guess they kind of explained that Eli was part of like their throuple. And I guess David and Shaw had been together for quite some time, and their kink was killing other couples. So kind of a weird kink to have, but I guess they said that everybody has their fetishes. So I suppose, but yeah, definitely not a even like normal person fetish. Like that's so far out of the realm of what anybody would think as a fetish, right? At least that's what I would like. Anybody with a normal mind wouldn't even consider that as a fetish. Yeah, that's for sure. So definitely they weren't all there. They definitely had a few screws loose. We'll just say that much. So, of course, now they try to give Allie some sort of decision. They hand her a gun with, like, I think one bullet. So she can either kill Jason, right? Yeah, she can either kill Jay or she can take herself out. And I guess if she takes herself out, she's proving that she does love him, I think. And if she shoots him, she proves that she doesn't love him. But she ends up shooting like a clean shot right through his shoulder, which ends up hitting Shaw and hurting her quite a bit. And then they get into like a huge fight, and David ends up getting like burned by a bunch of candle wax and stuff. And then I believe that, yeah, Allie ends up pushing Shaw onto like a sword, like through her neck, and like beheads her completely. So that was kind of insane. Like even when they ended up losing, like the kills were just like absolutely insane. Like the fact that they were able to take out both Hard Eyes killers. So I'm kind of wondering maybe if like it's almost to me as if Allie and maybe Jay are gonna take over in the second movie, possibly, because now it seems like Allie's gotten over like her fear of blood, because she said that she was very queasy about that in the beginning. Like she went to medical school, but then couldn't handle the blood, so she backed out and went into advertising. So yeah, like total career switch, right? Um, so they are able to, obviously, they are able to fight their way out of there. And then 1 year later, it seems that Allie and Jay have turned the company around, and she plans on going back to medical school. So, see what I mean? Like, it's kind of almost setting up for them to maybe become the next Hard Eyes killers. And then at the very end of the movie, she gets another strange phone call, which just turns out to be Monica after she proposes to Jay. So now they're getting married. So to me, that's almost setting up for them to be the killers in the second movie. So that's kind of where I'm leaning towards, but I guess we'll see. Either way, the soundtrack in this was great, very fitting for every scene, and uh, yeah, it was just one of those ones where the kills were just very unique, and it is a fun watch. Like definitely one of those ones where you can sit down with like a group of friends and just have a like the comedy in this was funny, and like just yeah, is meant to be like a light-hearted slasher, like comedy horror sort of thing. As like same thing with like Scream, it was along those lines, obviously, because it was the same producers, right? So yeah, it just the film worked well. It wasn't my favorite film. There were some cheesy parts in it, obviously, like him just walking through and like the drive-in theater and nobody really caring for whatever reason. And yeah, um, there were some other cheesy parts, obviously, too, like the whole proposal thing at the beginning, and then him just randomly showing up to kill the couple. Like, I don't know. Yeah, like just it was just yeah, there was just some very cheesy parts in it, but I guess it worked for this film. But anyhow, that's it for this review. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.